Mirko Movie Guys. I'm Clint Schaffer, and this is my buddy Chad Weeks.
And we're a couple guys who like movies and like to talk about movies. Clint, we had a big weekend, big week, big holiday weekend, whatever you want to call it. Tell them what we're going to talk about tonight.
I mean, Thanksgiving is, I actually look at Thanksgiving and Christmas, such a great holiday setup to where you get to go and you can watch a whole bunch of different movie releases throughout that time. And quite frankly, the movie theater is one of the few places that stays open when nobody else stays open, right?
Yeah, well, it's like everybody else is out there doing because we went on Black Friday, and when everybody else is out fighting each other over Cabbage Patch dolls or whatever it is this year, we can sit there with a bowl of popcorn, a bucket of popcorn, and watch a couple movies, and that is the true way to celebrate a Friday off in November.
You know, is that not the closest thing to Friendsgiving that we did this year right there?
Absolutely. Yeah, can you imagine you and I put on a Friendsgiving?
So let's set this up for the listeners here. So literally it was me and Devin, my son Devin.
Yep.
You and your wife Kayla.
Devin and I. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not good at this English thing, you know. Like I'll get it figured out one of these days. But no, like we hopped in the vehicle, we drove over to Galesburg to AMC Showplace 8. And they're not sponsoring this, but they probably should, you know, in reality.
They definitely should. We're gonna
for sure plug them a lot here.
Yeah.
But went over there to Showplace 8 AMC, and we decided to watch back-to-back films. We went in at, I think, like the 1 o'clock showing of the Marvels, and then we went right into like the 3:20 showing of Napoleon.
Yep, and it's hard to beat a day like that, really. You know what I mean?
That's a long day too.
Yeah, what's that?
That's a long movie day for two.
Oh yeah, it's a long day. It's a long day when you throw in a 3-hour movie, to top off the other one. Like I think actually, here's the thing. I think we watched the shortest Marvel movie since in a long time with the Marvels, and we watched the an epic movie with Napoleon. So we got the both ends of the spectrum there. But the plus side is you got your popcorn bucket, which gets free refills. So in between movies, you can go ahead and refill that popcorn bucket. You can refill your drinks and get geared up for the next one, like just like you're walking in like a normal person and watching one movie.
That is such a good point, though. I mean, because we had to your point, you buy the popcorn one time, you buy your large drink one time, and then you just refill it the rest of the time. So,
and on a convivial Friday in November, ticket prices are dirt cheap. What I think it was $5 a ticket, so you can't beat that.
If you watch a movie at AMC Showplace 8, and if you watch the matinees, which I think they consider that anywhere between like 12:30 and like maybe 3:30 or 4 o'clock.
I think it's 4. 4 is the last showing that falls in that category.
It's literally $5 a ticket. So it's like if you want to take your family to a great showing, man, run over to Galesburg AMC Showplace 8. I mean, it's fantastic. I keep saying this like they're sponsoring us, but they're just not. So
we need to talk to them.
Well, it's going to be a future conversation that we're going to need to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the other thing that we need to talk about, though, before we jump into these movies, I mean, this episode is kind of a special episode.
It is. It's the kickoff to our WRMJ journey.
Like we are getting posted on WRMJ's website here, their new podcast page. And Chad, you and I are kicking that off here.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to hear more of our voices on doing some advertisements leading up to the each of our episodes. I don't know if we're going to do. We're going to be doing two a month. We probably do more than that, but we're going to do at least 2 a month that they're going to advertise for, and hopefully we'll do some more. We want to do some more things in the community, do some local stuff. I think that in the really near future, I think we need to talk about the Alito movie.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that needs to be but we also want to talk with some local students and whatnot, people in the community that really get the Mirko movie guys vibe. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's great is the longer that you and I have done this, the more conversations that we've had with people just in the community, and you come to find out like we're not movie experts. We're just a
Oh
couple
no,
guys that like movies and like talking about
yeah.
movies.
And let's
There are a lot of movie experts in this county that I tell you what, I've talked to even a couple people tonight that man, they blow me out of the water from a movie expert. So
I was having a drink not too long ago with a Mercer County police officer, and the way he described, like, he was so poignant when he's talking about movies and the description of it. It's like, yeah, you're gonna do so much better at this than we would, because we're not movie experts like this guy seemed to be. We're just a couple guys who like movies and like to talk about movies. If it's a bad movie,
we just ramble a little
like
bit,
that too.
you know?
What's that?
I said we just ramble a little bit. That's
exactly, for sure.
Well, I tell you what, though, let's jump into this. So we go to the theater. Black Friday, we say the heck with shopping, and we're going to go watch movies, and we're going to watch movies all day long. The first one that we go into is the Marvels. Before we jump into the actual movie itself, tell the listeners, what were you thinking? What were you expecting this movie to be before you walked in there and sat down?
Yeah, so I suppose that I was going to be a little bit higher on this movie than what. Well, all right, so let's be honest about this. There is a negative context with the Marvels right now, and I mean they're saying that it's a bomb at the box offices, right? There's no critics saying that. There's no critics saying that this is a bad movie, but there are a lot of people that just don't want to go see the Marvels for whatever reason, and so I'm a little bit reserved about it. But for me, I had a heck of a time. Like you've seen Miss Marvel, right? And I'm pulling it up right now as we go through this. Okay, because I knew that I would mess up her name, and I'm probably still going to. But Aman Vellani, I love her. Like, I love her vibe. I love her personality. I think that she is so perfect for this Marvel universe. So when I saw that, I was excited about her. I also a big fan of Brie Larson. So I don't know. I expected it to work, but I was also a little reserved because I really wanted Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness to work. And while it was fine, it just didn't do much for me. So
well, I've been burnt. I think it's fair to say that ever since Endgame, we just haven't been given that same clarity of where the Marvel universe is going to go. And that's not saying that things are bad. It's not saying that the movies are bad. It's not that. It's just that we got very
spoiled.
What was that?
Spoiled. We got spoiled.
Yeah, we got spoiled that we could see exactly where Marvel was taking the entire franchise with the Avengers and rolling into Infinity Wars, rolling into Endgame. After Endgame, it's been a little bit of we watched WandaVision, we've seen Loki, we've seen Black Panther 2, we've seen Ant-Man, right? I mean,
we've had so much content and we don't know where it's going.
Yeah, and nothing so far, minus we can start seeing the Kang dynasty start coming together a little bit, right?
Yeah, we know.
But even with that, it hasn't been a clear drawn line.
No, exactly. And it's like, so we've had a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and I feel like we at least so here's the thing with Marvel, you always felt like you knew where it was moving. You knew that we were we were introducing the Infinity Stones, and you knew what was going to be happening with phase or not phase one with the Infinity Saga. You knew where it was heading. What's that?
Phase 3, I think, is actually
phase 1, 2, and 3. But I'm just saying, like, you were introduced to the stones all through there. The Infinity Saga is what it was. But on this one, it's like we don't. They've told us where we're going because they told us about the Kang dynasty. They told us about all these. It's like, but where are we going though? We haven't really seen that. And again, you have a really high, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 high, which is the highest of highs, or Spider-Man No Way Home, but then you also have some lows, and they're not lows by movie standards. They're lows by Marvel standards, though. And I'm spoiled, man. I'm spoiled, and I just don't know if I want another Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, we haven't talked about this on a podcast, so I'll at least just throw my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I've been really hard on Thor: Love and Thunder, by the way. It definitely left you wanting maybe more, maybe in ways you were wanting less.
I would say I definitely wanted less.
Yeah, you may have wanted less. I will say I went back and watched that here recently in maybe a different mindset, right? Knowing what to expect, knowing what to watch. I actually thoroughly enjoyed Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm talking like significantly more than what I did when we all watched it the first time. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I think the third act was pretty good. It was really good. I think the third act was really good. I think that the problem that I have with it is all the things that that were meant to like weigh on you didn't. Like again, I have a problem with like when Korg supposedly dies right there with Zeus,
Right? Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, but I'm not because I'm just a face.
Still,
like so you faked me, and it was cheap. And
I mean, it felt like Glenn underneath the dumpster.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Like
and I have a problem
it's kind of that aspect, and there are times like that when you get faked out that hard, and I think it means even more when you're a diehard fan and they fake you out. It's hard to recover from that, right? Because it's like, man, like we've built up this circle of trust, and I feel like you just ruined the circle of trust with me, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's almost like it's hard to get past that, right?
Yep, exactly. You know, in a horror movie when they're looking down, like, and something, you're about to have a jump scare, and it's like, oh, it's gonna be the monster, it's gonna be the monster, it's gonna be the ghost, whatever it is, and then it's like it's a cat, and like the whole time it's like it's gonna be a cat. And like you can't do too many cats, you can't have too many cats in there, and I feel like Thor: Love and Thunder had too many cats. I will say though, in my opinion, that's the best soundtrack.
The Marvels had the most cats ever. So
oh, it did, yeah. Those are cats, those are Florians. But it did have not to go too much further into Thor: Love and Thunder. We need to get off this topic. But
no, I know.
Yeah. Best soundtrack in the Marvel series so far, just because of the saturation with Guns N' Roses. I am here for that.
Yeah. It's still hard to beat. Guardians of the Galaxy is still. I mean, I will
totally
throw an
agree.
argument out there, but Guardians is still hard to beat on a soundtrack in general. But
totally agree. I'm just an Axl Rose guy, so
no, absolutely. So let's jump into the Marvels. I was asking you, what your thought was going into it, and I probably had similar thoughts, right? I've loved Miss Marvel. I loved that TV show series.
She's great. I adore her.
Yeah, she's just she's a breath of fresh air in kind of a stale universe.
Yeah. I felt like you were trying to not say the cliche word there, but that's exactly what she was a breath of fresh air. She really is.
Like,
she's something different, and she's one of us. She's a fangirl, you know what I mean?
She literally makes me smile, makes me laugh, and makes me enjoy watching as I'm going through that. Now, I understand that there are going to be some Marvel fans out there that may not get that. And to me, I just feel like you're missing it. You're missing the glory that they're giving us, because they have given us something special with Miss Marvel, and I feel like she stole the show as well in this movie.
For sure, she held it together. She held the show together. She was the glue in that whole thing. And like I feel like, to your point, you're cheating yourself by having this I'm not gonna like it attitude. And I feel like there's a lot of that I'm not gonna like it attitude.
No, I think so too. I think it's interesting because Brie Larson she's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, right? Like just from a Marvel perspective, you can see that in reviews and things of that nature. So I was curious going into the Marvels of, are we going to see a different Brie Larson or a different Captain Marvel that maybe shows a little bit more personality? Because I think that's been like the biggest drag on, or the biggest hit on Brie Larson has just been the personality that she brings to that character, right?
Yeah.
I think this one helped out significantly because she had other people helping her carry that. And I actually think that it helped us see the true Brie Larson.
Yeah, I agree. And
Like,
I think
we got to see a little bit more of that banter between like her and Monica Rambeau or her and Kamala Khan. Like, we got to see a little bit of that back and forth that I think helped maybe show a little bit more depth to Brie Larson's character, Captain Marvel.
Yep, and I think that when the balance of this is when you have Kamala Khan, who's going so, you know, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here, but she's going to that realm, that direction. You have Brie Larson, who's going to basically anchor it. You know what I mean? So you've got a lot of this fangirl stuff that's kind of out there and whatnot, and then you've got the anchor here, who's the realist and the one that's like, you know, that's always going to be the person that says, wait in the car, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like in every action hero, you have the wait in the car person, and Brie Larson is the wait in the car person. And Kamala Khan's the one that's not going to listen.
Yep. Yeah. And I thought that dynamic just played really well. And, and to have, you know, truly in the Marvels, you have three people sharing the spotlight. Right.
Yeah.
They're truly trying to have three main characters that are trying to drive that storyline, and each of them has their pros and cons in being a superhero. They are all stubborn in their own sense, and they got to figure out how to work as a team. Right.
Yep.
I thought similar to, you know, this is, people are probably getting tired of me saying this, but I always say that, Guardians of the Galaxy did the best job of introducing us to characters in such a short amount of time and us falling in love with them, right?
Absolutely.
I thought the Marvels did a fantastic job of that. Even if you had not seen the previous Captain Marvel or the Avengers with her in it, or you didn't see Miss Marvel, or you didn't see WandaVision with Monica Rambeau, if you hadn't seen that, they did a really great job of bringing us along. And all of a sudden, 30 minutes into this movie, you're like, son of a gun, I love all these characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's even better if you do know all the history and you know all the background of it.
You know, another thing, like building off of that, one of the things that I really liked about this movie and I feel like we've only really talked about Kamala Khan here because she stole the show. She was. Yeah. So, but the family aspect, and Brie Larson did a lot of it too. Monica Rambeau, I mean, like Monica Rambeau and her mom and Brie Larson and her Carol Danvers. I need to start using, you know, either use the actors or the characters, but Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau and Maria Rambeau. Like there's a ton of family stuff here. There's deep-rooted family things here, but again, none of them shine brighter than Kamala's family, who is so much like that's her strength, really. You know, like she got her bangle from her grandma. You know, like well, I got it. You know,
her family is in this from the very beginning to the very end, though. I mean, her parents are in it and her brother in it, right?
Yep,
so
exactly,
you do have that family aspect, and you also have, and this is where again I think that, you know, somebody that may not be, they haven't watched maybe Miss Marvel, or they're not in tune to her culture either, right? I mean, she's Pakistani, right? Her family has went through a lot of these trials and tribulations over time, which is really what the TV show kind of goes around. And with every culture, you see a different family dynamic, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you truly get to see with her character, is you really get to see a lot of that culture come into this movie.
Let's be honest here. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be, because I know how bad you want to talk about this. But I want to steal your thunder a minute on this one, because
you're going to talk about the scene, aren't you?
I'm going to talk about the scene, and let's give a light spoiler warning here, because we're going to do a couple light spoilers, but nothing terrible. You'll be fine. You probably already know it, but I think it's also going to add context to some of the things that maybe we realize that the casual fan wouldn't. And again, we are casual fans, but let's point it out here. They put in a Bollywood scene, a Bollywood planet, basically, which is totally a nod to Kamala Khan. When you go to a planet that their entire language is singing and dancing, and they were clearly clearly a Bollywood. It was clearly a Bollywood scene, and it was so cool to see the way they did it. And if I had not known that that was what that was, I probably would have thought this is cheesy or this is dumb. But then when you look at it through that lens, it is clear what they were going for, and it was so spot on and so perfect. I loved it, and I want to hear you talk about it too, because you're a Bollywood guy. You're much more than mine. Yeah,
I love Bollywood and I love Indian films.
Okay, so explain Bollywood a little bit too. Again, just a quick one.
Yeah, I mean, Bollywood is just it's in my opinion. I'm sure you can find a whole different explanation, but at least how I'm going to say it is, it's always Bollywood to me is always larger than life. So you got a lot of just things that happen that are just just bigger than life. The other thing that they have is a lot of song and dance. So as you're watching a Bollywood film, you literally get to a spot. They're usually like 3 to 4 hour films too. I mean, they're very long, but you get into it to where they get into a piece that they want to drill in further. They start singing, they start dancing, and it is an incredible Bollywood experience of just song and dance, right? And these songs don't last 2 minutes; they last 15 minutes, right? I mean, it's a long aspect. Now, the thing that I don't know, and this is the interesting dynamic, and I would have to ask if anybody, any of our listeners are listening to this that can put in some more context, probably something that you and I need to look up a little bit too. There's a very unique dynamic between India and Pakistan too, right? I mean, there was Miss Marvel talks about that with the Great Divide, where they basically pushed out all of the Muslim Indians over into Pakistan, right? And that was a brutal thing, but anyway, it that all happened, right? So it was interesting to see some of that dynamic of like her, like with her culture. Does that feed off of that Bollywood aspect as well, or are they really truly trying to hit two different aspects here? Right. And I'm not smart enough to be able to talk about that context. No, but that's what I'm thinking about when I'm watching that scenario. Is it's like, oh wow, you have Kamala Khan, who is Pakistan, from walking into a Bollywood, which I would traditionally look at that as more Indian, right? And so anyway, I to your point, when that happened, you and I literally turned and looked at each other, because it was like, I loved it.
It took like
such a refreshing aspect.
It took like half through a song or something like that, when they were. It's like, this is a Bollywood planet. Like, you and I looked at each other at the same time. We had the same realization. And again, I love that Marvel doesn't shy away from this sort of thing. It's so cool that they're willing to go out on a limb and like do something cool like that, even though it may not be understood by everyone. And so if you're going to this movie, if you're going to go watch the movie, just know that when they go to a singing planet, that's basically a nod to a cultural heritage, and it's very on point, and I love it.
It's not the first time that we've seen the nod to India in a Marvel film, though.
What, are you talking about the Eternals?
No, I'm talking about Across the Spider-Verse, when you get Spider-Man, who's in New Delhi.
Yeah, I just bought the first appearance of Spider-Man India, just so you know.
Oh, nice. So, there you go.
I sent you that snap.
But there is like, there is fun, because like this all kind of intertwines. And again, I apologize for my lack of knowledge over all of this. I can only speak to what I feel like I understand. So I apologize if I'm not explaining this the best way possible. But at least that was my feeling. That's how I looked at that. I've watched enough Bollywood films now that it was like, as soon as we got into that, it's like, holy cow, this is it.
I'm going to drop another one. We're going to move on past that. I'm going to drop another one here, because I remember in going to Circa 21 and watching the movie Cats with my mom and my sister. And so like there's a lot of flurgans in this movie, and there's one big scene where there's a lot of these flurgans that are basically they're a big part of
When
the
he
show. They're
when
big.
Chad's saying flurgans, by the way, he's talking about cats.
Oh yeah,
There
absolutely.
are 100 cats.
Yeah, the cats are basically the flurgans are a cat that has like tentacles that come out and like basically like somewhere between
It
an
can
octopus.
swallow anything.
Correct, exactly. Yeah, you had to have seen Captain Marvel back however long ago that was. But yeah, Goose.
Yeah, Goose is a flurgan.
Goose is a flurgan, and there are a lot of flurgans in this movie. And while they're doing this, while these flurgans are kind of taking over the show or over the movie, they're playing the main song from Cats over the top of it. And it's like, it took me a second. I'm like, this is an odd choice. And it's like, oh, it's the theme from Cats. You know, the one like in the moonlight, whatever it is. I don't know what the name of it is, but it was so cool to see that.
This Chad is a perfect example of why I love watching movies with you. Because right there, I remember you tapping me on the shoulder in the middle of this movie, and you're like, this is from Cats. And it's like, and then I look up and you see hundreds of cats running around the spaceship, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, that is absolutely wonderful. Like that is such a beautiful, such a great way to bring in, that aspect, right? I mean, especially like a Broadway show, an incredibly popular Broadway show, and then you bring that into the Marvel universe, and it like I wouldn't have caught that. So I would have watched that scene, and I would have said, this is a great scene. It's hilarious because they're trying to herd cats. I even think they talked about herding cats, right?
So we're literally going to herd cats.
So I would have laughed about that. And then I just would have sat back and I just would have watched the scene and I would have went to the next scene. But instead, you tell me that this is the song that is blaring is the Cats, from the Broadway show Cats. It made it 10 times better, man.
Yeah.
10 times better.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I think that all right. So here's the thing. Let's talk about the negatives in the movie. We ready for that?
Sure.
I don't know if you have any negatives. I'm going to drop one. If you have any, let me know. The one negative that I have on this movie, I feel like the villain was kind of just blah. I feel like that's if I had a negative. She had a great story. She's very relatable, but again, it's like she didn't pack the wallop that all right. I feel like her plight and Killmonger's are very similar, but Killmonger.
Well, Killmonger is one of the greatest.
Oh, he's one of the greatest villains of all time. And I don't mean to compare the two.
Who's the Kree in Guardians 1? Not the Destroyer, the Annihilator.
Oh yeah, Roman the Accuser.
Roman the Annihilator, or the Accuser. There you go, Roman the Accuser. And
Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan.
Yes,
Ronan
now you got
Accuser.
me. Yeah, Ronan the Accuser.
Yes,
Ronan the Accuser.
Yep. And this is what cracks me up about you and I. People probably sit there and question whether we're fans or not. We're just not. We don't remember things very well.
yeah, exactly. Okay?
And so I know that y'all out there that are diehard, fans, and we call ourselves diehard fans. You guys are probably yelling at the screen right now as Chad and I are like trying to remember Ronan the Accuser. But anyway, my point to this is she was a lesser Ronan the Accuser.
Exactly.
I mean, Ronan the Accuser was a better bad guy and better villain than what she was. I understand her aspect. She was almost, how I looked at her, she reminds me of Valkyrie as a bad guy. Like she has the same backstory, the same issues as Valkyrie that just, but I also feel like that doesn't necessarily make a good carrying villain, movie carrying villain, right? Like it's a good secondary villain, but she wasn't. I don't think she had the background or the storyline to carry that movie.
Her plight was totally relatable. I'm not relatable because we never had that happen, but nobody stole our son. But it's like I get it. Like she's a victim in this story ultimately, and she has a reason to be scorned or whatever. Like she should be angry. She should be ready to fight the world and take on whatever. But
Well, you know what this almost like falls into that I kind of like. I enjoyed this aspect, and this is what I did truly like about her character.
Yep.
Imagine if you live in. I'm going to switch to DC here. You live in Metropolis.
Yeah.
Okay. And you and your family are just happy and living a great life in Metropolis. And all of a sudden, Superman starts fighting General Zod in Metropolis.
Yeah.
And Superman flies through your house and your family perishes. Are you a Superman fan?
Totally. And you're right. I wouldn't be. I'd be totally against. So I get it. She's relatable, but also she didn't really like. Do you remember her name? Because I don't.
I don't.
And well, I mean, like, she's never gonna be like, when you talk about villains, you're gonna never remember her in the grand.
I mean, quite frankly, we've already said it. Kamala Khan just stole the show, so I barely remember anybody besides Kamala Khan. So
correct, exactly.
There was a fun aspect. So and you've seen this in the trailer, but it could be a minor spoiler, so just be aware. But you know, the whole storyline is like Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Monica Rambeau, all of their powers kind of become intertwined, right? And every time they go to use a power, they switch places. And that, to me, I question whether that would be a good strategy or storyline going into the movie. I'm like, this could be maybe overly annoying or playful or something. They handled that incredibly well. Like, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. And I loved when you watched them become a team. That's some of the best parts of the movie right there.
Yeah, it was one of the best team building like montages ever.
Absolutely.
You know, it really was, because they worked really hard at doing different things to make sure that, like, okay, we realize this is our downfall right now. Let's make it a strength, or let's make it part of our repertoire now. And it was really cool. Also, go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, I was just going to say that the one other thing that I wanted to add to the repertoire is Nick Fury's love for cats.
Oh my God.
You know, he is such a hard guy and all that stuff, but he still just loves cats. The whole reason he lost his eye, if you've seen Captain Marvel, is because of a flurgan or a cat. But man, he loves cats, and every time the cat, he's like, "Oh, I love that about him."
Spoiler alert! I'm gonna throw this out there because I thought it was just one of the best parts of what you are just saying, and it doesn't have anything to do with the storyline, but it is great to see that side of Nick Fury when he reaches down to pet Goose.
Yeah,
and it's like he's like, "Hey, Goose," you know, and he reaches down and he pets him, and it's like that cat is the reason why you have no eye.
Exactly,
Yet
because
you still love that cat, and you still want to reach down and pet him.
Correct. We never really got that. We never really got that closure. You know what I mean?
No,
like, we never really realized how his reaction would be, because he's kind of like this no nonsense guy, and it's like, you know, I don't know. I think about my cat's bit me. You know, never cut my eye out, but it's like I still love my cat. You know what I mean? So like, it's cool to see that human thing from Nick Fury. He's a cat guy. All right, let's wrap up the Marvels. How would you rate it? We talked a lot about it. What would you rate it? Give me a rating.
You know, I've put a lot of thought around where I should rank the Marvels, and I feel like I'm slightly skewed when I'm looking at my rating, because this is the first Marvel movie that I've felt like truly shows me where they're taking it.
Yeah.
Right. So there is, not only is the Marvels a great Marvel movie, it's also the first movie that I truly can see where Kevin Feige or whatever, where he's taking this, right?
Yep.
I'm going to give it a 7.7.
It is wild that you say that, because my literal, like, I've been thinking this the entire time, and I've been very hard on it. It's like, I'm going to give it a 7.6. However,
wow.
However,
that's the closest you and I have ever been.
For sure. I'm going to give it a 7.6. However, after adding on that post-credit scene, which I'm not going to talk about that post-credit scene, but it's the best post-credit scene we probably had since maybe Thanos was exposed.
Hands down.
Yep. I'm going to bump it up to a 7.8. So that is my literal. I'm going to say,
your
yeah, I'm going to say 7.6 is the movie. Bump it up to a 7.8 just because of that post-credit scene.
All right, I feel like you would have bumped it up to a 7.7, but I said 7.7, so you decided to jump one more.
No. Literally, this was my thought prior. This is my thought prior. Yeah, for sure. So,
well, I like that, and so I think, you know, as we think of this,
which
and
by
for
our
anybody
rankings,
listening,
our ranking says that's fantastic.
That is fantastic.
Just shy of must see.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, it is a must see if you are a Marvel fan. It's a must see.
For sure.
It's a 7.7 in all movie standards.
Yep.
As a Marvel standard, it's a must see.
Absolutely.
You
so
have
overall,
to see
we
this
both agree
if you're
7.7.
Yeah. Yep. Overall. But I tell you what, this is. I had, like I said, I had so much fun. As soon as we got done with that movie, I was high on the excitement, you know.
Yep.
And it was one of those, and this doesn't happen all the time. This is one of those where I'm like, I cannot wait to watch it again.
Yep, absolutely.
I cannot wait to watch that again, to just catch even some of the other things I didn't see or things of that nature. There was a ton. I think there's probably more Easter eggs in there than what you and I even
agree.
caught. And so I can't wait to watch it again. So
yep. And just to throw this out there, on IMDb, I saw that it was rated a 6.0.
That's just people that just don't know good movies, apparently.
Honestly, I feel like I don't think that's even that. I think it's people that are just hating on this one. And I'm gonna be honest about it and say that I think that there's a lot of animosity about a women driven movie, and you know I'm gonna say it because I feel like that's a big thing here. I feel like people don't want to like this movie for a lot of reasons, and that's one of them.
I'm gonna play into this. I'm gonna dance on the edge of getting canceled here and somebody yelling at me. You know,
first episode on WRMJ.
On our first episode of WRMJ, and I'm gonna start throwing out some in Endgame, when you have the girl power scene.
Yep.
Right. That was intentional to be a girl power scene.
Correct.
Right? Like, they did that for no other reason than just to say, here are all our female superheroes. They're going to team up and we're going to have a really cool girl power aspect. Right?
Correct. Yep.
I don't know how else to word that besides that.
Yeah, no, I get
think
it.
Going into this movie, I think people expected this movie to be one long drawn out girl power scene. And it's not. It's a fantastic movie. It has amazing lead characters, and they carry this. This movie is carried by those three actresses. Carry this movie to a great, fantastic, must-see movie in a Marvel universe.
Yeah, I'm going to agree and disagree because I think that it's a little bit more simple than that, and there's a lot of fragile masculinity there. That, you know, like there's a lot of threats.
Hey, I'm talking about that too, right? But I'm just saying, I think that's what people were expecting, was it was going to be this big, and it's not. It's fantastic, and quite frankly, I mean, don't hear me wrong. That scene in Endgame, I actually thought was awesome. Like, it was so much fun to see everybody coming together. So, but I do think like that is what folks were anticipating.
Yep.
And I blame, you know, your stereotypical comic book folks that think like, hey, that's, you know, I don't want to go see this. Well, you should. You're missing out. And you're missing out on a amazing
You're cheating yourself, man.
movie.
You're cheating yourself.
You are. Yeah. One last thing. What are you looking forward to? Are there Marvel movies that are slated today that you can't wait for, especially after seeing the Marvels?
I don't. So that's the one thing that the Marvels didn't lead me into another great like movie thought or new movie excitement about another movie without saying a big big spoiler.
What series do you think is going to come from this? Let's put it that way.
Okay, I think that a big series that we're going to see is the Young Avengers.
Young Avengers.
So I think there's going to be a Young Avengers movie, And I think that will have I hope that it's done right and given the respect that it needs. But Young Avengers, I think, is probably going to be a big undertaking because if Marvel can break itself off into like two quadrants here, where you have like the more adult version of things, where you have, all the Shang-Chi's, the Thors, which bring Thor back to like an adult version.
Yep. Yeah.
All these, like all these guys, like, and then you have like the Young Avengers, where you can have Kamala Khan, and you can have America Chavez, or and all these younger, like, break it up so you have a bunch of kids messing up the world, and then have another series where it's the adults kind of cleaning things up, or you know what I mean. Like it happens. You see,
and the thing is, Marvel has to expand to get more viewers than just you and I, right? Like our generation grew up with comic books and we grew up with this stuff, right?
For sure.
The next generation, we relate to the Tony Starks and things of that nature, right? Your stereotypical 90s era comic book people, right? That's you and I've grown up loving these characters, right? Now you have these characters that are new characters, whether it's Miss Marvel, America Chavez, Ironheart, right? I mean, you can start going on to a lot of these different characters. They got to bring in the next generation. Like that's great. I love seeing that. And if I got to adjust my thought process to connect with that younger generation than us, man, I'm all in for it, man.
Yeah,
bring it on.
Absolutely, for sure. And so if you look at the upcoming films, some of the ones that we know are coming down the line, like the oh man, I had it on the tip of my tongue there and I missed it. The Thunderbolts. It's kind of like all the outcasts of the Marvel universe that we've been introduced to. Like not Captain America, but Captain, what is his name? John, or anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, tell me. Captain,
like the
Captain
Falcon? The Falcon?
No. Captain America's got his own movie. So the Falcon is now Captain America. He's going to have his own movie, and I don't remember exactly what it's called. But you have the soldier, the super soldier.
Winter
that was
Soldier?
John. No, come on, man. but yeah, the Winter Soldier will be part of the Thunderbolts. Okay, so look at Captain Marvel or Captain. All right, so it was the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You remember that TV series? And they had John, whatever his name was, who took up the mantle of Captain America. But he became Captain something or...
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the guy that they were trying to make Captain America, but he's kind of like the bad guy Captain
Kurt
America.
Russell's son, and I can't think of his name. It's just, but anyway, it's going to have him, and it's going to have the White Widow and all these other characters that are going to Anyway, regardless, the big one that I'm excited about that is on the docket, and that's Blade. I'm super excited about Blade. I hope that's going to tie in a bunch of things. I want Blade so bad.
Blade's awesome. Yeah,
I think it's going to be an R-rated, so it's going to be, unlike Morbius, who I love Morbius. We're not going to have, we're not going to have a vampire movie without blood.
Yep. Yeah. Morbius was, Unfortunately, there are necessary times that you need R-rated films. Right?
Correct.
And
exactly.
I know that hinders you taking your family to that film, but like there are times from a fan aspect, you just have to have R-rated films. And
absolutely.
It's like Deadpool. I'm sorry, but Deadpool got to be R-rated. And if you think any different, you're just wrong.
Absolutely. So. For sure.
Well, Chad, I tell you what, this has been a fantastic conversation. We've went through the entire Marvel's aspect. I thought it was such a fun movie. And again, I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those that I don't know when it's coming out to streaming or it's going to come. I'll buy that one on Blu-ray for sure. But yeah, I agree. I'm going to, the day it comes out, I'm going to watch it again. Can't wait. I don't know if I'll see anything different, but I know that I can't wait to see Kamala Khan on screen again because I absolutely adore her. She is fantastic. More of Kamala Khan for sure.
I could not agree more. So with that, the credits are rolling.
The lights are coming on.
That's the end of the show.